So I had to take the cannon again because of the... Yeah, didn't he say that it would that wouldn't always be free? Like, he said that it wouldn't be free of charge the next time. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it just seems very inconsistent, the dialogue. But yeah, I don't think there are enough portals in Gerudo Desert. Like, the only reason you'd really want to warp to the Gerudo Mesa is to very quickly get to the slugfest that's below it. And, like, that's really it. Like, the only major point is the Arbiter's Grounds, because you'd probably, like, want to get any treasure chests you missed there. And that'd be the only real reason you want to revisit the desert. You've already found all the posts. So again, there really should have been a portal, like, near the Bubbling Fortress as well, because the Gerudo Mesa, it's too far away from any important areas aside from that stupid cave. And speaking of stupid caves, this is another slugfest. These aren't very fun. I feel like the wolf has an easier time with these guys for some reason. Like, they aren't arbitrarily blocking its attacks over and over again for no reason whatsoever. Like, how does a spider leg block a blade? But yeah, like, the wolf's combat isn't very good at all. I constantly just use a jump attack over and over again, and I don't really have any idea how much damage each of his attacks do. I feel like the bite attack is extremely weak, even more weak than the regular B attack for Link. I have no way of knowing that, it just feels very unsatisfying. And it would have been better if there was a health bar above all the enemies. It's best to look for golden bugs at night, because then you can see them from a distance a lot better. Not that this helped me not having to revisit this place again for the golden bugs. But yeah, when you're searching for golden bugs, have it be at night. Yeah, another reason there should have been the sun song in this game. And make sure that you have the volume up so you can hear the dinging. But the problem is the dinging is so quiet anyways that it's not really... Another thing is that you'll notice that the wolf still has the chain attached to his leg, or I guess paw or whatever. But unfortunately, a sound design flaw is that when he's moving around, you can still hear the chain on him, and that kind of sounds like the dinging of the golden bugs. Like, obviously if you hear the sound of the golden bug, they're going to know what it is right away. But it's easy to hear the rattling of the chain and think that a golden bug is near, and it's not. And the golden bug sound is not quite loud enough and obvious enough. But yeah, this is a piece of the Bridge of Eldin. I don't know what they had to gain in doing that to the bridge. Like, seriously, what did Xanta and his minions have to gain from this? Nothing. It's literally just there to make it more inconvenient to travel through the overworld. So did the like when fire happened on the Great Bridge of Eldin, not Eldin, Hyrule, did that damage it and they had to repair it for a while? I think it was closed for repairs. But the thing is that no, I don't think it was, because you get rid of the Twilight and then almost immediately you have to cross it with the escort mission. But yeah, it is really cool that you get to take advantage of the whole Midna can warp objects thing again. For some reason I remember, like, when I was a kid, I thought that the bridge piece was somewhere else in the desert. Like, I think there's another thing in the desert, like to the east of here, that I think looked like the bridge but wasn't. But no, it's actually blocking the entrance to the Cave of Ordeals. A place that sucks. I'm not going to bother with it. Wolfling's reaction is pretty funny. Your power is a gift and only people with courage can wield it. Runs away. Well, that sucks. The thing about the cave ordeals is there's actually a great fairy in it, and she's shirtless and doesn't have a bra on. But they managed to get away with it by having specifically positioned hair strands. How did they get that in a Zelda game? And like, she looks so human-like. Like, the fairy, she doesn't look at all like the Wind Waker one, or, well, I guess the Ocarina of Time Great Fairies were trying to look human, but failing because it was an N64 game. Like, they're trying to be attractive, they're trying to be appealing to the eye, but they just look terrible because, like, they're just so pointy, and their face, like, their makeup. I don't know, it's just really weird. Another thing is the cave ordeals, I think... No, I managed to complete the game with 4 bottles and I never even touched the cave ordeals. The reward for fully beating the cave ordeals, I believe, is access to the Great Fairy elixir thing. That basically works just like the elixir in Wind Waker. And you can get it at any time you want by pressing A near one of the Light Spirit Springs. And the Light Spirit Springs turn into fairy fountains. Like, sequentially, the more you progress to the cave ordeals. But one of the extremely stupid things about the cave ordeals in design is that, yeah, that sucks. They really needed to stop having wall restrictions in Zelda games. But yeah, it's just stupid that when you get to a certain floor in the cave ordeals, you can't save what floor you're on and return to it later anytime you want. You have to do it all in one go. Why isn't the kid who cleans your shoes here? I wanted to show off how the shop was before it got upgraded, but I couldn't because for some arbitrary reason the game decided not to spawn the shoe cleaning kid there. You need to have your shoes cleaned for some reason in order to be allowed to enter it. But why didn't he just tell you why you weren't allowed to go into the shop? Like, if he's a rich snob, why is he being polite? It makes no sense. That's basically a shop that it has snooty music, and everyone's snooty, and it's for rich people, and that everything is extremely overpriced. And they actually sell the magic armor there, but it's extremely high priced. I don't remember if you can actually technically afford it. You might need the giant wallet to do it. So, I think, yeah, like, I think I can remember the big Goron here. He said that he wanted to do business inside the castle, but they couldn't get in. Why was he the only one who noticed this? Well, I guess this is the only place that's high up enough, but there's plenty of other people in this house. There's a glitch in this game called Reach the Bottomless Floor. What you do is you go to the city in the sky and find the area with the pea-hats and Baba Servant infested grass. Use the claw shot and grab onto one of the flying pea-hats when they are over an area with no visible ground below. Quickly equip the iron boots, and Link will fall with the pea-hat down to the sky. The pea-hat will not allow Link to die, but there is a point where he stops falling and just hangs there in the sky. Also, if Link looks up using the C-stick, you'll see that the floors have disappeared, allowing you full view of the rooms above. If you remove the iron boots, the pea-hat will slowly go up, while still moving in its designated direction. Link will most likely eventually go through a floor where he won't be able to keep holding the pea-hat, and so he'll hit the ceiling of the floor above him, and like he'll fall. I guess then he'll fall to his death. But yeah, I am going to be getting all of the golden bugs for this playthrough. I was able to get all of them, except for 2, which I completely forgot. Like, they were in the same location as each other, but just completely forgot that location had golden bugs in them at all. The things that Agatha says about the golden bugs are kind of creepy. And like sometimes she says that she wants to do things with the parts of the bug. Like right there she said she wanted to like braid its tail. Wouldn't that be painful for it? Like she sounds like an unintentionally evil queen of the golden bugs thing, cause imagine you're a golden bug and she's like, oh, like I want to use her shiny shell as a pillow. Like I get that she actually thinks they're cute, but from the bug's perspective, wouldn't she just be hurting them? You can actually get Renato, the elder of, well I guess he's the elder of Kakariko Village. You can get him underwater. Like there's a pond behind the Elden Spring. You can get him under there. But it takes forever. Just keep pushing him around Kakariko Village, talking to him over and over again to make him stop moving. Eventually, if you get him into the water, he'll end up walking on the bottom of the lake. Like he'll just sink to the bottom of the pond, and he'll just be walking around like it's nothing. You can also talk to him as a wolf just fine when you get him far enough away from Tallow. Like, it's weird because I didn't expect that they would program you still being able to talk to him even as a wolf. Because there are plenty of NPCs that you can't talk to at all as a wolf. Like, obviously the people that you scare as a wolf you can't talk to. But yeah, we're visiting the Freedom Fighters again. And now we have to go to Snow Peak. Ashy is basically a tomboy, like her father was a soldier, a military man. And she didn't have a mother, so she basically became a military woman. And that's very progressive considering that it's Hyrule and a medieval kingdom, and you think that you think that she would be unnecessarily a social pariah because she's a girl. It's kind of annoying how she constantly says yeah, like at the end of her sentences. Like I get that I say yeah a lot too, but I don't say it at the end of like practically every sentence. Like it makes her sound like a stereotypical Canadian or something like that. I don't really get what they were going for, but I guess she has a cool concept. It just her personality seems kind of boring, uninteresting, I guess. I like Shad. Like I like the quaint gentleman nerd. I guess we're supposed to assume that he has a British accent, even though shouldn't everyone have a British accent, or does he come from the Britain of Hyrule, of Hyrule's world? Even though he lives in Hyrule and has all his life, I assume. But yeah, I like Shad. I don't really see how an archaeologist guy is supposed to help the Freedom Fighters though. Like it's not like he's capable of combat. Like was he just a personal friend of theirs and they decided to let him join to be nice? Also, this area looks almost just like... Wait, is this the area from Lake Hylia? I wasn't really paying attention. I think it might be. Like, I think this is the really long cave from Lake Hylia where they encourage you to bring lots of lantern oil. But the thing is that it kind of puts pressure on you for no reason because there's plenty of lantern oil in the cave anyways. Like, I started on this because the thing is that this cave looks very similar to the cave in Kakariko Gorge, only it's longer. Its level design is inherently repetitive, and the sheer fact that it looks similar to the cave, like aesthetically, and the sheer fact that there's so many narrow, straight line tunnels, and with torches in the middle of them, and you have to... Well, I don't think you had to blow up boulders constantly in Kakariko Gorge. I think you just had to burn a bunch of webs. Yeah, I get they're trying to be realistic with these cave designs, but they just don't feel nearly as interesting to navigate through as the wide open cave designs of the 2D games. I hate this. Why are there bottomless pits? in a cave where you respawn at the entrance of the cave when you fall into a pit. It's so tense having bottomless pits in these areas, because then if you fall into them, which is very easy to do because of how dark the cave is, even with the lantern, then you're going to have to respawn at the very beginning of that very long cave and do it all over again. And it's so pitch black when you don't have the lantern on. So it sure is a good thing that that pink gem glows in the dark. But yeah, there's Shad. He's the nerd. I don't really see how he contributes to the team, but I guess he's nice enough. So I guess it's all that matters to them. And then you have Aru, which I assume is the descendant of the Light Sage Roru from Ocarina of Time, who found Child Link and undressed him and gave him adult Link clothes and even pierced his ears when he was put into a really long sleep by the Master Sword, because the Master Sword arbitrarily decided he was too young to wield it. And yet Wind Waker Link was allowed to wield the Master Sword just fine. It even shrunk itself before he even entered the room so that he'd be able to wield it as a kid. Even though I presume it's the same Master Sword from before that only allowed an adult to wield it. But yeah, Aru, he's a guy. He's certainly a person who exists. Again, doesn't really have a memorable personality. Like, he's an old man, I guess. I'm sure he's competent. Maybe he's a ex-soldier or something. Like, the thing about the freedom fighters is, like, the problem with them is they're a cool concept, but they don't really do much. Like, you're told to report to them, and, like, they give you items that allow you to progress. Like, items that are temporary and only exist for you to give to other people. Like, the Oru gave you an item to give to the cannon guy, so you were allowed to go to the desert. But he could have very easily just, like, why did you need that? Like, I guess they were forcing you to go talk to him first, but still. Like, it feels nice being part of a bigger organization, and that's why you have to talk to the freedom fighters before you do much, but still. They don't really do much. You never get any indication that they're fighting Ganon's minions too, that when there's an attack on a village because of Ganon's minions, that they're riding in with their horses on horseback and fighting. They just sort of go to specific places that you need to go to. They stand around. They give you information, like Ashy gives you information that you need to know, and that clues you in to the next person that you need to go to get a temporary item. And that's all she really does. She just stands there. And like Shad, well, he's actually mandatory for the plot. Like, if he didn't exist, then Link would have never been able to beat his quest, because he says something like he's responsible for you being able to move the statue that gets you to the cannon room in the first place. So he's actually very important to the plot, despite not being combat capable, which is ironic. But like it is disappointing how, and like there's also the mask guy who, once again, there's no real reason for him to be hiding his identity from you whatsoever. Like, seriously, why would he hide his identity from Link? He certainly looks cool with that mask on, but if it's over his eyes, how is he able to see? Is it made of a thin fabric, and that's why he's able to see through it? But that would still obscure his vision a little bit, wouldn't it? I know for a fact that he has a sword of his own, so I guess there's the illusion that he's combat capable, but still, there's no indication that he does anything. Well, technically he does something, like, he gives you something that you need in order to get back to the Sacred Grove, because for some stupid reason, they force you to go through the Sacred Grove again, because they arbitrarily don't spawn the Shadow Beast portal right after you get the Master Sword. It's just like how they arbitrarily don't spawn in the the Shadow Beast portal to the west of Castletown until you get there for the second time. So they force you to meet the light spirit first, and then you have to backtrack all the way back there again instead of just being able to warp to Castletown for the golden bugs. It just feels extremely arbitrary every time they decide to wait before, like, you go to a place, the Shadow Beasts don't show up, and then you go to a place again, and then they do. So that forces you to backtrack. It's especially infuriating, like, the second time it happens, because that means that you're forced to do an extremely tedious part of the game with Sacred Grove, going through it all over again, but this time it's a human. And, like, there's no reason whatsoever that you couldn't just, like why did you need to use a cuckoo as a human in order to get to the Sacred Grove the second time? Why couldn't you just turn to a wolf and jump with Midna a whole bunch again? So, even though the Masked Man is mandatory and does something important in the plot, it feels very arbitrary and forced, because there's no reason whatsoever that Link couldn't have just used Midna to get there again. And there's also no reason they could have just warped past having to deal with Skull Kid again. Like, it's stupid. Like, the Masked Man, he's mandatory for the plot. Like, he's mandatory for Link completing his quest. But he's about as mandatory as Big the Cat was important in Sonic Adventure. Because he was important in the sense that he made it possible for Froggy to get to Chaos 6, so he could fuse with him to make him a bit stronger, and make him finally reach his final form. Because it turned out Froggy had a Chaos Emerald in him all along. And so Big needed to be there to constantly fish up Froggy in order to eventually get him to run to Chaos 6. But they could have very easily rewritten that plot so that there wasn't Big and Froggy in it at all. Like, the whole concept of that was forced. So it's just like that. Like, the Masked Man, he didn't need to have that cuckoo with him. Like, you could have just wolf linked over there.